Welcome back. Well, King Charles has landed at his family estate in Sandringham to continue cancer treatment, but not before a quick meeting with Prince Harry, who hurried home to London to be by his side.
Royal editor at the Daily Mirror, Russell Myers, is following the developments for us from London. Russell, Queen Camilla was by the King's side as they took a chopper out of London. What's the latest on his condition? He seemed to be in good spirits.
Yeah, he did. Good morning to both of you. Well, I think he looked in good spirits, waving to onlookers and sort of well-wishers who were gathered outside Buckingham Palace. But I think he looked a bit teary when I've looked at some of the photos coming in from the picture desk. You can see possibly welling up with emotion, waving to those people who are sort of giving their well wishes has made him a bit emotional. But it was, of course, following this very, very brief meeting with Prince Harry. It lasted only 30 minutes after Harry made a 12-hour dash over to London earlier today. So read into that what you will. It would have been great to be a fly on the wall for that meeting, wouldn't it? But yeah, as you said, the King is in his Sandringham estate in Norfolk, away from London and recuperating and resting.
I'll get on to Harry and William in just a second, but what's all the reports circulating around the King's health and prognosis, and there's so much speculation now as a result of the announcement. Where are things at tonight?
Well, listen, we haven't moved anywhere further from the original Buckingham Palace statement, and that said that it had been a secondary diagnosis. Of course, you'll remember when the King spent 3 nights at the London Clinic in central London for treatment for an enlarged prostate. There was obviously tests done during that hospital stay. This has brought up this secondary diagnosis, and it seems as though a plan is still being put together for the King. He's being treated by specialist doctors, but they say it is a form of cancer. Now, we know it isn't prostate cancer, but I think by giving sort of that blanket coverage, it allows the King to, be open with many people who are suffering from various cancers, and to say, I'm with you, and I'm going through the same sort of trials and tribulations, and I think that has involved an awful lot of people and well wishes toward him.
I mean, it is going to be difficult for the palace, really, isn't it, to try and keep information to a minimum? I mean, do we expect the King to speak at all anytime soon?
I'm not sure, Sarah. I think, this is very, very centred around his rest, his recovery, his, it's going to be gruelling, whatever treatment he has. And we're expecting not just weeks, but possibly several months out of public duty. So I don't think we're going to get any further updates. It will be up to the King to decide whether he wants to, be forthcoming in that. I mean, he has been celebrated and praised for coming out and saying he was suffering from this enlarged prostate issue. Tens of thousands of men go through that every year. This is a very, very different situation. And again, I think it's very, very serious for the amount of, treatment he will need.
You're 100% right about that shot of the King. I mean, he did look incredibly emotional there, and there's been huge support from around the world. Would mean a lot to him, I'm sure. What about William and Harry? They are just not getting together.
No, they're not. I mean, I revealed a story earlier on today that there was no plans for them either to meet. And certainly from Harry's camp, he was open to potentially meeting William, very, very keen to try and have some reconciliation. But firmly in the William camp, it was no chance for that. William is very focused not only on the business of stepping up to take extra duties over from the King. His wife has just come out of hospital. If you remember, the Princess of Wales who had that abdominal surgery. She's recovering at home. So he's got an awful lot on his plate, William. And I don't think he wanted to have even a discussion with his brother that he's been very, very estranged and fractured away from the last couple of years.
It's probably fair enough with so much on your plate for
It's
him.
going to take a lot of forgiveness, that one. Rusty, good to talk to you. Harry has arrived in London in a nick of time, just before King Charles left Buckingham Palace to continue cancer treatment. Joining us for more is ITV News Royal Editor Chris Shipp. Chris, good morning to you. Nice to see you. Well, they met for, what, an hour or so, maybe less. How do you think that meeting went down?
Good question, and I wish I was a fly on the wall. Look, we've got this cancer diagnosis now from the King, and then we knew yesterday here in London that Prince Harry was flying across the Atlantic, and so he did, and landed duly at Heathrow Airport. Him and his dad have got a lot to talk about. Let's remember everything that he wrote in his book Spare. Let's remember everything that he and Meghan said on Netflix about his father, about Queen Camilla, about the institution his father leads, known as monarchy. So I can only imagine that conversation. They've got a lot of fences to mend, let's say, and a lot of grounds to cover. And I think they would have obviously done that in the light of everything that was shared by Buckingham Palace yesterday.
He was in and out. He's not going to see William, it appears. Is he going to see any of the rest of the family, or is he going to take off again?
Well, we don't know. We've kind of lost Harry. We were trying to keep a very careful eye on him here. We saw him land at Heathrow. We watched his two cars go, from Heathrow to Clarence House. He went in to see his dad. Now we saw the cars leave. We weren't sure whether he was in there or not. So basically, I suppose my answer to your question, Carl, is we don't know where he is. He was seeing his dad. He did spend about 45 minutes in there. You can see his car arriving along the Mall there and just up towards Clarence House. And now we don't know where he is. I presume it's entirely possible, by the way, he could just head straight back to Heathrow and take that long flight back to California to be back with Meghan and his two kids. But we know he's not seeing William, as you say.
All right. The King was seen a little earlier as well. I thought they were really lovely photos of the King putting on a brave face and a brave smile. He must be a little buoyed, probably a little emotional about the support he's receiving. Meantime, the British PM, Rishi Sunak, announced the King's cancer was caught early. Is any of that true? Can we glean anything from that? Do we know anything more about the diagnosis?
Right. How do we unwind this one? Look, the British Prime Minister said in a radio interview this morning that he's pleased that the cancer's been caught early. Now, has he been privy to information that we haven't? After all, he is the King's Prime Minister. He leads His Majesty's government, as it's called here in the UK. So it's entirely possible. However, Downing Street kind of rewound that one slightly and said, no, the Prime Minister was only referring to that comment the Palace made yesterday about swift intervention from the medical team. So I think, how would you put this delicately? I think it might have been a bit of a misspeak from Rishi Sunak. He basically used words that the Palace didn't in terms of early, caught it early. So I think we'll go back to the words we got from the Palace yesterday. There has been swift intervention, and that the cancer was found when they were about to do that prostate operation last week.
I saw some reports emanating from the old Dart this morning that William was kind of work shy about getting back involved in the fold. I haven't seen any evidence of that personally. Is he going to step in?
Look, I mean, I'll just say this. He's currently in a situation where his dad has had to reveal to the world that he's got cancer a week after he's had to reveal to the world that he had a pretty big prostate operation. And his wife, Kate, you can see there at Christmas time at Sandringham, has had some very major surgery. We still don't know exactly what, nor are we going to find out, but abdominal surgery that kept her in hospital for 13 nights. And he's got 3 kids, to look after as well. He is going back to work on Wednesday in the UK, so kind of later today, your time, if I can work that out properly, but tomorrow, our time. He's got a couple of events. He is back to work, and he will have to be standing in for his dad more and more often, as Buckingham Palace said to us yesterday.
Good on you, Chris. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank you, Carlos. Hey there, Today fans. Sarah and...
What's my name again?
Oh, my goodness. Carl?
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel, though. Subscribe now for more news, special reports and amazing Aussie stories.
And Carl misbehaving,
Whoa,
of course.
that never happens.
Always happens.
What's she talking about?
Always happens.